Hey guys, so I'm trying something new with this video and I hope you enjoy it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm just kidding guys, not that kind of new. So about a year and a half ago, some good friends of mine and myself came up with this question. If I was going to be stranded on an island for the rest of my life, forever, and I could only take 5 albums with me to listen to over and over again for the rest of my life, what 5 albums would those be? So the quick answer is, there's so much amazing music that picking 5 albums is impossible. Especially that every phase in life and every age brings its own favorite music with it. So I'm taking that into consideration when I'm making this list, and I'm going to try to remember which album was very relevant to me at every phase and age of my life. Keep in mind that this is a subjective list. These are the 5 albums that I would take with me to an island. I'm not saying these are the best 5 albums out there. And this is what I love about this list. My choices aren't the same as yours, and everyone has a different 5 albums. So when we made up that question, the deal was no greatest hits allowed, which makes the question even harder to answer. But here's my list if greatest hits albums were allowed. Number 5 would be The Beatles' One. Number 4 would be Foo Fighters' Greatest Hits. Number 3 would be Bob Marley's Legend. Number 2 would be Guns N' Roses' Greatest Hits. And number 1 would be Led Zeppelin's Mothership. The Beatles' One is one of the first 3 greatest hits albums I've ever had. I remember buying it when I was 10 years old, and every single song that would play on that album, I would think, I know that from somewhere. So that's how amazing and iconic those songs are. I was 10 and I recognized almost all of them. So I recently discovered Foo Fighters about 2 years ago when I was studying in Canada. Before that, I always heard the name Foo Fighters and I knew that Dave Grohl was the drummer of Nirvana and the vocalist of Foo Fighters. But I had never really listened to them, and I'm so glad I did, because they're one of the few bands remaining today that have that really classic rock feel. The only other band that I can think of right now that kind of gives that same feel is Slash and Miles Kennedy. And Foo Fighters' Greatest Hits was really good company in Canada when I was alone. When I was going somewhere, I was always listening to it. It was on repeat a lot. Bob Marley's Legend is amazing, and every single song on that album makes you just wish and imagine that you were there with them, either recording that song or watching it live. Guns N' Roses' Greatest Hits, I could talk about it for hours, but to keep it short, it's really the album that got me off the drum set and onto the guitar and the bass and writing. It's really why I play music today and how I try to play as many instruments as I can. And finally, Led Zeppelin's Mothership. I'm ashamed to say that the first time I listened to Led Zeppelin was 2018, except Stairway to Heaven. And my friend in Canada told me, you haven't listened to Led Zeppelin? Like, how can you like rock and not listen to Led Zeppelin? And it's number 1 on my list. There's so much to say about this album, like I don't know where to start. I can make a video about every song, so I'm just gonna keep it short. Every song was an amazing and pleasant surprise to listen to, and all I kept thinking about was, how did they write this? How did they make this? So that's the list of the 5 albums I'd take with me to an island if greatest hits were allowed. I had 10 potential albums for this list, and those were 5 of them. The other 5 that didn't make the list, but that I do love very much, are Nirvana's Greatest Hits, The Essential Michael Jackson, Eminem's Curtain Call, The Beach Boys' Sounds of Summer, and Blink-182's Greatest Hits. So let's get into the harder list now. Greatest hits are not allowed, and these are the 5 albums that I'd take with me. So number 5 is Stadium Arcadium by Red Hot Chili Peppers. I chose this album because I haven't listened to it that much, and while I was making this list, I did listen to it, and I was like, this is a greatest hits album. These songs are amazing. They're all incredible. And there are 28 songs on that album, so you know it's the last one I'm gonna get bored of. If I get bored of it, which is highly unlikely. Number 4 is Monkey Business by the Black Eyed Peas. There are 10 tracks on that album that I absolutely love and can listen to a lot. And what I love about Monkey Business is that it's really that transitional Black Eyed Peas phase where they were in the middle of that big change they made. Like, if you listen to Elefunk, it's funky. And if you listen to their album, The End, it's much more today sounding and electronic. So Monkey Business is that perfect middle meeting way. It really shows you that they can really write amazing music. Number 3 is Absolution by Muse. I'm a huge Muse fan. Matthew Bellamy is such an amazing composer. Absolution is also one of those albums that's kind of greatest hits-ish. It really has like amazing track after amazing track, and I can never get bored of that album. I've been listening to it for such a long time and I never got bored of it. Number 2 is Audioslave's self-titled album. I chose this album because I know the first 6 songs on that album really well, and they're all mind-blowing, and every time I listen to them I just headbang my neck into non-existence. And so the rest of the album, the other 8 songs, I don't know that well, and that would be amazing to discover and headbang to on that island. Chris Cornell is one of the best rock singers that have ever existed. His voice is amazing, it's natural, it's raw, and I can never get bored of his screams and power in his albums. And finally, number 1 is Uprising by Bob Marley and the Wailers, because Uprising has my favorite Bob Marley songs, and you know that if you're stuck on an island, you're gonna need that nice reggae relaxing music. And you want that music from the best reggae guy himself. So the other albums that were contestants but didn't make that list are Avenged Sevenfold's self-titled album or Avenged Sevenfold's Nightmare. I was completely obsessed with those albums about 7 years ago, but I think I need more relaxing music right now and calmer music. Meteora by Linkin Park. This is the soundtrack of my childhood along with a few other albums, and I know it so well, and that's why I didn't put it on the list. Drones by Muse. Drones is an amazing album, and it really shows that Muse listened to the fans and said, okay, you want heavy, we'll give you heavy. I think it's the best sounding Muse album. It sounds huge, it sounds aggressive, and I love it every time I listen to it. The only reason Absolution won against Drones is because Absolution has more songs that I love on it than Drones. The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance, because every single song on that album has amazing harmonies, and I absolutely love harmony. Like, if I'm listening to a song, I'm singing along, I'm singing the harmony. I'm not singing the lead. And so sometimes I have to force myself to sing the lead to try to sing those covers. I have to remind myself, no, you're singing the lead, stop trying with the harmony. And I blame that on My Chemical Romance and System of a Down. They're the ones who kind of put harmony in the spotlight for me, and they're the reason my brain follows harmony all the time. Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water by Limp Bizkit. I was 6 years old when I bought that album on cassette, and I remember playing it, and Hot Dog is the first song on that album, and I played it, and I was just like... If you go listen to Hot Dog, you know what I'm talking about. But besides that, that album is a tank. It's so aggressive, it's so raw, it's so gritty and heavy, and it's also part of why I love rock so much, because ever since I was 6, I grew up listening to this heavy rock sound. Plus, look at how great I turned out. Toxicity by System of a Down. I grew up also listening to that album. As soon as it came out, I went and bought it, and I know it by heart because it was on repeat for most of my childhood, and that's why I wouldn't take them to the island with me. Elefunk by Black Eyed Peas. It has amazing songs on it, but I chose to take Monkey Business and not Elefunk because Monkey Business has 10 songs I love and Elefunk has 5 songs I love. And finally, Come Clean by Puddle of Mud. I remember I was maybe 7 years old when it came out, and I went to Virgin Megastore to buy it, and I tried it on those booths. Remember those booths where you can scan the disc's code and you can get 1 minute of every song? And Control started playing because it's the first track on that album, and it started playing and I had my headphones on and I was 7 years old and I hadn't heard anything so huge, and I just remember headbanging so much at Virgin with those headphones on my head, and I think some people were like watching me and laughing at me, and I just didn't care, and I just air drummed and headbanged, and it was the best. And I love that album and I know it too well, and that's why I wouldn't take it with me on the island, unfortunately. So if I was allowed to do so, I would take the list I made with the greatest hits, but no greatest hits allowed, so there you go. So that's it for the list, guys. Wait, that's your list? Yes. Huh. Don't forget, it's a subjective list, it's personal preference, and that's what I would take with me. And I can't wait to know what you would take with you. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's different. I'm trying this. I hope you like it. Tell me if we have an album in common. Tell me what you would take with you, greatest hits allowed and greatest hits not allowed. And as always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.